Patty Gasso was at Long Beach City College.
So Pat Murphy was an assistant coach underneath Yvette Gerard, another one of the greatest coaches who has a ton of wins in her own right. And him and Yvette went to Long Beach City Community College and recruited a pitcher from Patty Gasso that they got to play at Louisiana. So that was Nikki Kephart. And right away, Coach Murphy told us his story. We go back. I've known her for 30 years. And when we asked Coach Gasso about it, she was talking about how young Coach Murphy was at that time as an assistant coach. But yeah, that's where Coach Gasso started coaching at, was Long Beach City College.
Larissa Pruitt lays off the 0-2. As she told us, my memory of Patrick Murphy when I first met him, just this young, scrappy, hungry guy. He's still pretty much that scrappy, hungry guy, just maybe a tinge of gray in the beard, unlike 30 years ago.
Well, now the real full circle moment, too, is now he's facing a pitcher who transferred from Louisiana, and Sam Landry, and that's where Coach Murphy got going.
2-2 from Landry. Over to the right side, Agbayani with a bobble, and they still get Pruitt. Now, Patrick Murphy may challenge this. He's looking into his dugout on the third base side. Rarely do you see Agbayani bobble anything over at second base.
Well, and she's so fast, she can cover a lot of ground, turns her hips, gets to that ball, and that slight bobble could be what ends up making
first base.
Larissa Pruitt actually safe to get down the line. I think this one will be, man, that is about as bang as you can get. I see her as being safe. We'll see how close. When the glove starts to come around the ball is going to be what they're looking for, as well as when Pruitt's foot gets to the base, as soon as it starts to compress on the base, which is hard to see from these cameras, but we have Hawkeye system now that they're going to be looking at in Birmingham, where they do the replay review. More frames per second that they're going to be able to take a really close, good look at, because with our view here, I feel like it's just too hard to tell. I would say it would be changed to safe. But
well, right away, Patrick Murphy looked right into his dugout, motioning, should I challenge this, based on your view from the dugout.
Well, this is what Coach Murphy told us way back in February. This is the best collection of athletes, 1 to 20, that we've ever had here at Alabama. 9 green light girls is what he calls them. And Larissa Pruitt is one of those speedsters that gets down the line that even made this ground ball to second base close. So let's see.
Upon further review, the call has been upheld. The runner is out at first base. That is Alabama's first challenge.
That is about as close as it gets.
Maybe one of those situations, Amanda, where you just got to stick with the call on the field because there's not quite enough there to overturn.
Agbayani is definitely celebrating that little bobble there.
She remains perfect in the field. 112 for 112. So, one down and the base is clear for Salyn Hawkins. And if you're just joining us, Alabama had the bases loaded, 1 down in the first, and could not capitalize. Landry bounced back with 2 strikeouts in that inning. Very reminiscent of the midweek against Oklahoma State. This is lined right into the mid of McEnroe Marinas, 2 away. Remember, in that game against OSU, Oklahoma was trailing 3-2, bases loaded, nobody out for Oklahoma State in the 4th, and Oklahoma got out of it, and that completely shifted the momentum of that game, in the words of Patty Gasso. Lauren Johnson batting in the 9 spot.
This Oklahoma infield is just so fast. They're all new faces with the exception of Sidney Sanders over at first base, but literally any defender who is on the dirt right now, from back behind the plate to in the circle, shortstop, second, third base, is a new face for Oklahoma. And one thing that I noticed in watching them play, they cover so much ground. And I said this to you a few weeks ago, dare I say that they might have a quicker, faster, more rangy infield than even last year when they had All-Americans all around the infield.
Well, with 9 freshmen, Patty Gasso told us it's certainly one of the youngest, if not the youngest team she can remember in quite a long time. And yet they're so mature and so athletic, Amanda, that they've already exceeded her expectations in terms of how they have been ready to perform week in and week out.
Well, and they love to be coached, and that's one thing that Patty Gasso loves to do too, is that she was so excited even in the fall when you heard her talk about this team, is like, I get to coach again. Before that, it felt like they had been player-led for so long with so many veterans that had talent and success and leadership.
2-2 hugging the line, scooped in foul territory by one of those freshmen, Nellie McEnroe-Marinas.
The team just kind of felt like it ran on its own, but for Patty Gasso, she said it's time for me to get back to teaching again, which is my favorite part of coaching, is that teaching aspect. And one thing that she loves to teach especially is defense.
Time called by the home plate umpire Chelsea Clark. 2-2 count, 40th pitch of the game coming here for Sam Landry. And she does not quite get the strikeout. Johnson fanning at it, just got a piece.
Both of her strikeouts of the game so far have been on that changeup. Both strikeouts coming in that first inning.
Now has the strikeout, her third. And that ends the second in a score play, including an SEC home series loss to Tennessee, which was their last SEC series before this weekend here in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, they played that midweek football game against Wichita State. That 19-16 score that they pulled out on the road. So it really is like, ever since they had that first loss of the season in Columbia, Missouri against Mizzou, it's been tough for them. I mean, look, they have the biggest target on their back in college softball. Everybody wants to beat them, coaches spending hours upon hours looking at their film and their hitters and their pitchers. How do we beat Oklahoma? And so for Oklahoma fans, sometimes I think those 3 losses start to feel like the end of the world, and the players start to feel the pressure and the expectations of wearing that Oklahoma uniform after being the 4-time defending national champs since we got back from that shortened 2020 season.
1-2 count to Abigail Dayton.
But they've definitely gotten challenged these past couple of weeks. In the SEC, the level of play in the SEC now that they are in this conference is definitely a step up from what they faced in the Big 12.
Moving into the SEC for their first year of competition, ending an era of domination in the Big 12. They won 24 league titles in the Big 12, as that just misses to Dayton. Two is up the middle and into center field. And the first hitter aboard today for Oklahoma comes in the third. Well, the inaugural League One Volleyball Championship match is Sunday afternoon, 4 Eastern, right here on ESPN2. Omaha will take on Austin for the title. Isabella Emmerling at the plate.
This first time through the order that Caitlyn Riley has been showing this off-speed curveball to Oklahoma. It's been very effective. Emmerling hunting early, swinging early. She throws that off-speed curveball. That is her change-up type pitch. And it has been moving.
Well, for Alabama, replacing Kayla Beaver, who was the ace last year, there was some discussion about who would take that over this year. As this is launched into left and foul, Caitlyn Riley has sort of solidified herself in SEC play as the Game 1 starter. Transferring over from Ole Miss, has pitched in many a big game for the Rebels. 3 postseason appearances in her time at Oxford.
Coach Murphy really liked her fire and her demeanor pitching last weekend in Baton Rouge at LSU. He mentioned how well her last 3 SEC appearances have been, and 2 of them were in Baton Rouge. Just another tough place to play.
Good block by Marley Giles, with Abigail Dayton over at first base. First base runner of the day for Oklahoma here in the 3rd. The 1-2.
You hit the transfer portal looking for something new. And for Caitlyn Riley, she's getting a hit a little bit more. Last year at Ole Miss, she only pitched 79 innings, and she's already surpassing that in this game.
Runner takes off. Throw down has Dayton in a pickle. And they will get Dayton for the first out of the inning.
Looked like Dayton saw that throw was going to beat her, and so she just put on the brakes right here. Like, okay, I'm going to get thrown out. Let me get myself into a pickle and see if I can get them to make a mistake. And ends up going out of the baseline toward right field, and going to be an out for Bama.
Just the 4th time this year that Dayton's been caught stealing, and back-to-back outs. What a turn of events for Caitlyn Riley after giving up a leadoff base hit.
The first pitch Emmerling saw is also the last pitch that she sees. Off-speed curveball for the first swing and miss, the first strike, and then gets the strikeout with that same pitch.
So with 2 down and the bases clear, taking on the 9-hitter Ailana Agbayani, Riley has a chance to face the minimum through 3.
It's just not easy to come in here and play in the stadium. It's a sold-out crowd, and everybody wants to see Oklahoma play in person. Everybody wants to see their favorite team play Oklahoma in person.
Agbayani to the left side, Hawkins there, and a 1-2-3 inning for Caitlyn Riley. No score, middle of the 3rd here in Tuscaloosa. Great on this rich Alabama softball program. More stolen bases than 7 SEC teams have this year.
So many different ways to get on. She can hit for a little bit of power and get on. She can walk, and then a walk turns into a double with her speed. She can lay down a drag that the corners have to respect. At third base, Nellie McEnroe-Marinas creeping in. But at the end of the day, we can sit here and talk all about her talent and her speed. But what Coach Murphy loves to point out is just how coachable she has been since she set foot on campus. Has had a mindset to learn and take everything in that these coaches want to tell her. Good screwball there. Get that second strike from Landry. No expectations coming in. Said she was just going to listen to anything that any coach told her. She was just going to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, when she came in here.
into center, giving chase Dayton, who will not get there. Vandegrift trying to stretch it to second, and she will. The wheels of the 100-meter state track champion, stretching a single to a double to lead off the bottom of the third.
Fights off this rise ball just enough to find a hole in the outfield, and then of course she gets to first, but she does not really slow down a little bit to touch first base, but then sees it down, instantly gets to second, and has had big time that competitive energy when she steals a base or has a big hit.
Callie Hevelin has already doubled in this game. That was back in the first, in which Bama had the bases loaded. Arguably the fastest player in the SEC in scoring position.
You can see at second base how close her feet start together when she gets her lead. She'll do the same thing at first when she's about to steal, but see how close they are together right now. When she gets down into her start position to get her lead, that's where she stays. That is so unique, and that is all her track background.
All-state in multiple events, the 100-meter, the 200-meter, and the relays. Now, how does this start compare to Amanda Scarborough's start?
Not quite the same, but I look like an average softball player with my start position there.
This is looping in the right field, giving chase Agbayani. Vandegrift is going to tag up on a fly ball that gets 10 yards into the outfield.
And that's why Audrey Vandegrift is able to take third base on a shallow fly ball to down the right field line, because she knows her speed. Speed is her game. She takes pride in it. She's always going to push the limits, and she easily gets to third base. But that position that she puts herself in helps get even more out of her athletic talent.
Into left field, caught. Vandegrift will tag, and Alabama takes the lead on a set fly by Brooke Elstead.
And this is why that speed was so critical to get her to third base. On a mishit out to right field, her speed got her to third, and then a sacrifice fly scores her for the first run of this game.
2 down, and the base is empty for Abby Dukeshire. And Sam Landry calls time. This is the start Alabama desired in game 1 against the second-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Striking first. A point of emphasis by Patrick Murphy this week with his team. Again, 4 of their 7 SEC losses by just 1 run. They have been knocking on the door with a team that is also young. Popped up right side and called off. Landry. Sanders makes the catch. Patrick Murphy will join us on the broadcast next with a 1-run lead after 3 in Tuscaloosa. And now taking on Cassidy Pickering, second time through. Equally interesting will be, how does Oklahoma adjust its approach at the plate second time through?
Interested to see specifically how they handle that off-speed curveball that Caitlyn Riley threw for such a high percentage the first time through the order. That's an example of it right there, just located on the outside corner, and a really good take by Pickering to get this into a hitter's count.
So often over the first 3 innings, it was Riley pitching from ahead. 2-1 up the middle, backhanded on a diving play by Hevelin, but not in time. Throw gets away, but Giles doing a nice job of backstopping at first base, keeps Pickering at bay.
She just continues to put together quality at bat after quality at bat. She's reached base in 17 straight games on a 15-game hit streak, playing big and playing out of her mind right now.
Time called at home. Nellie McEnroe-Marinas batting just a touch under 390. The redshirt freshman from Hawaii on a tear. You know, you talk about Cassidy Pickering riding that 15-game hit streak. 7 home runs for Nellie McEnroe-Marinas over the first 12 SEC games. So confident right now in just her first season on the diamond for Patty Gasso. High fly ball right field, shielding the sun, Pruitt, and makes the catch, one away. Well, our next NWSL match is Sunday right here on ESPN2 and also on ESPN Plus. Bay Football Club hosting the Chicago Stars in San Jose. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern right here on ESPN2. Tying run aboard for Ella Parker, who has dealt with injury much of this season. In fact, she was wearing a boot right up until first pitch. Chopper off the glove of Riley, spinning to make the throw in time at first base. What a play by the Ole Miss transfer. 2 down in the 4th.
What a play by Caitlyn Riley to stick with this. Pops it up to herself, then gathers herself to make that play. And what's so hard about that, if you're a pitcher wearing a face mask, is because she looked up, her face mask is all in her eyes. So she almost makes a blinded throw to first base. Because what you see that mask and it moves around. It doesn't just stay in the exact same position. So as the ball hits off of her, she's pitching, it's moving around. When she went to make that throw, her mask had moved and was all in her eyes.
Gabby Garcia launches this to center. Vandegrift is there to make the catch. Riley pitches around a leadoff infield single. Oklahoma trailing by 1. We'll chat.
Has an incredible following as well.
Riley chopped. Some miscommunication there between Landry and Emmerling, but Emmerling eventually makes the play, 1 down. Yeah, these are 2 of the great fan bases in college softball. And of course, Oklahoma has won the last 4 national championships. Alabama has played in 4 of the last 5 Women's College World Series. So much momentum and hype, particularly right now in this stretch of 5 years for these 2 programs, as Marley Giles makes her second plate appearance today.
Yeah, it's really like everywhere they go, they just continue to set records.
Yeah.
You know, and think about even Oklahoma playing at Love's Field. They continue to set records there and play in large crowds. Whoever they play against, they pack that stadium. They had a record-setting crowd whenever they played Missouri. I think there was something on the
a ball
field.
Made it into the right field.
Speaking of fans, out in right field.
Those folks were lining up hours before first pitch. 2-0, sharply hit, backhanded at first. Sanders at top of the bag, 2 down.
That was good contact, though, by Marley Giles, who struck out on her last at bat. Good adjustment. Her second AB, no strikeouts, the second time through the order against Landry. And Landry is more of a strikeout pitcher. Alabama's approach at the plate has been good against her to only have 3 strikeouts so far. And all 3 were the first time that they faced her through the lineup.
Had over 100 strikeouts in less than 90 innings pitched coming into the weekend at Landry. And a first pitch strike to Larissa Pruitt.
thrown more drop balls this year, Sam Landry, as last year at Louisiana, she threw that drop ball just 19% of the time. This year, throwing her drop ball 33% of the time, so almost doubling it. But what has increased significantly is her swing and miss rate. Up 30%, getting 30% more swings and misses on her drop ball, which is a pitch obviously she's been throwing more. But in this game, I've seen her pull out that rise ball more than I expected.
Pruitt takes the 0-2 into right field, tailing foul, and just out of the reach of a sliding Barker.
I was in the air for a long time, and speaking of rise ball, I mean, this pitch was at Pruitt's eyes. Look at the location of this pitch, that she's able to get her barrel up to that pitch and was just in the sky for a long time. Gave Sydney Barker a long time to run to try to attempt to catch it. Sam Landry is from Mont Belvieu, Texas, went to Barbers Hill High School, just has a deep history of Division I pitchers come from that school. Randy Rupp and Jessica Mullins, Sophia Simpson, who is at Texas right now.
1-2-3 inning for the Louisiana transfer from Mont Belvieu. 1-0 Bama after 4 in Tuscaloosa.
Deep. Always shows and talks about that moment. In fact, Oklahoma had a 3-1 lead, and we're facing a lefty hitter, Marissa Runyon. Paige Parker in the circle as a freshman, lefty on lefty matchup, and then Runyon hit that grand slam to win it. A moment that is one of the most epic moments, goosebump moments in super regional history. And it's, you know, the game that ended Chamberlain and Penley, Lauren Chamberlain and Shelby Penley's season. Everything was riding on Paige Parker that year. And then it was next year, after Paige Parker being heartbroken after the season ending that way, that she came back with vengeance and won a national championship that very next year.
First walk of the game for Patty Gasso's Oklahoma Sooners. By the way, they came back that next year in 2016 and won it all. One of 8 national titles won by Patty Gasso at Oklahoma. Tia Malloy pinch running at first base for Sydney Sanders. Sydney Barker at the plate for Oklahoma. Nobody out, top 5, and a 1-run Alabama lead. You heard Patty Gasso last inning tell us that her team was guessing a little bit too much at the plate first time through the order. Second time through, wanted to see them be a bit choosier. Better pitch selection. Leadoff walk certainly helps that effort by Sydney Sanders.
And she had a meeting with them in between innings. Pull the team together, and she was the one talking to them, which oftentimes you'll see JT Gasso, their hitting coach and one of the best hitting coaches in the country, her son, be the one that kind of rallies the troops on offense. But there was clearly a message that Coach Gasso wanted to send to them in between innings.
One-two into left field, headed towards the gap. It is down for a base hit. Malloy will stay put at second base on a nice throw in by Lauren Johnson. Back-to-back aboard for the first time today for Oklahoma.
Look at Sydney Barker stay in her legs to stay with that off-speed pitch. Just sunk into her legs to try to keep her barrel with that pitch as long as she possibly could. That was a freshman on a 1-2 count and hitting a pitch, taking it away from Caitlyn Riley, that off-speed curveball that has been so successful for her in this game. Great adjustments and back-to-back plate appearances by Sydney Sanders to draw that walk, and then that 1-2 swing on the off-speed curveball by the freshman to get a hit.
Well, Sunday is the final day of the NBA regular season, if you can believe it. Playoff positions on the line. Our ESPN doubleheader starts at 1 Eastern with the Pistons and the Bucks, followed by Clippers, Warriors. Both matchups pit teams in the thick of the playoff hunt in the East and in the West. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown, noon Eastern. Go-ahead run is aboard with nobody out in the 5th. Abigail Dayton drops down a bunt. Coming in from third to make the play is Elstead. Both runners advance, one down.
Really a perfect situation if you're Oklahoma to have Abby Dayton up in that short game situation. Runners at first and second, no outs. To be able to lay down a bunt and advance them 60 feet. She has such good barrel control, a lot of different tools that she can use and did use to put down that bunt to advance them.
Well, don't let Isabella Emmerling's batting average fool you. 12 of her 22 hits are for extra bases, including 9 home runs. She is made for these moments. Down 1 with 2 on and 1 out. Right back to Riley. Looking Malloy back to third, 2 away.
Another statement of a play by Riley. That ball was hit hard. She gets herself into a good fielding position to be prepared to field her position after she releases the ball. Great reacts. That easily could have gotten past her and up the middle of the field for a run or 2 for Oklahoma.
Agbayani to second, Hathaway to first. Major statement by Caitlyn Riley. Stranding 2. Bama maintaining a 1-run lead.
Her out, so really made some noise in the softball world, wondering about that move.
Pop up by Salem Hawkins to Gabby Garcia, 1 away.
Ricarlyn Pickens was last year's SEC Pitcher of the Year, set that record for 78 mile an hour, the fastest pitch ever thrown, and she pitched that first inning, Matt, and then came out. So really interesting to see that happen. Texas, of course, with the best pitching staff in the SEC, led by Tugan Kavan, who pitched last night, shut down Tennessee's offense.
It was a game that Texas won 3-0 at home. And now trying to take the series from Tennessee and maintain their top position in the SEC. Right behind them in the SEC standings, Oklahoma. Lauren Johnson at the plate, second time through in the 9 spot. Drops down a bunt, fielding her position well is Sam Landry, 2 away.
Lauren Johnson trying to use her speed to get down the line. Sam Landry made this play look really easy. Of course, with the velocity that she pitches with, the ball flew off of her bat. But look at how Sydney Sanders is anchored back. So Sam Landry knows that she has to go well toward the first base line to be able to field that ball. Like, that's just understanding and communicating on defense. Easily you could say, okay, well, that ball is angled down toward the first base line, so Sid's got it, like, no worries, but they communicate before every play to know that Sam Landry is going to have a bunt on that side and Sydney Sanders will anchor back.
Landry, a proven winner. 3 seasons at Louisiana, led the Ragin' Cajuns in wins all 3 years, and was top 10 in the nation last year with 24 wins in the circle. Ahead in the count, 0-2 with 2 down and the bases clear.
Yeah,
and ball 1 to Vandegrift.
Those glasses are absolutely her trademark. She said she started wearing them her junior year of high school, and she can't even remember why she started wearing them on this day, but it was playoffs her junior year, wore the glasses, and threw her first ever perfect game. So now she wears them ever since. And they have to be clear glasses, by the way. She has black frames too, and maybe some other ones, but she is known for this glasses look, which Christina Hamilton, who pitched at Louisiana, also had some frames that she wore. So she ended up going to Louisiana and was, compared to Christina Hamilton because of their talent and success, but of course because of the glasses look too.
That's a good reason to keep wearing them.
Absolutely. She said she's really superstitious, obviously, and has just been wearing them ever since. And little girls now look up to her and notice that she wears glasses and are inspired to wear glasses on the softball field as well because of her. She gets a lot of messages on Instagram about it.
Gets a strikeout of Vandegrift to end the inning. Landry's fourth.
Series got a lot of experience pitching in tandem with Kayla Beaver, who had an All-American year after transferring from Central Arkansas to Alabama. And this year, she's had some ups and downs, some really bright moments and some moments where she struggled to be able to command the strike zone. And there actually is Kayla Beaver sitting by Emily Pitag, who gets this crowd all rowdy on top of the Alabama dugout.
3-1 count to Pickering.
And the thing that Bruschi is going to have to do is throw strikes. When she throws strikes, she has a really good spin and movement, vertical break both down and up, rely on that drop ball a ton.
Shallow pop up at second. It's Haviland, one away.
She's going to throw in her drop ball, both sides of the plate, similar to Caitlyn Riley, although Bruschi will rely on her rise ball a little bit more, throw in the mid-60s. Again, good vertical separation that she gets with her rise and drop will feed her infield a lot of ground balls.
Nellie McEnroe-Marinas trying to start a rally in the sixth.
It's just hard to believe that this is just Nellie McEnroe-Marinas' first year. And Coach Gasso said, I've never thought of her as a freshman this year. She felt like a returner. I think she was there last year, but didn't play. One of the captains on this team.
Sharply hit to first, 2 away on the tap by Dukeshire. Well, the inaugural League One Volleyball Championship match is Sunday afternoon, 4 Eastern, right here on ESPN2. Omaha taking on Austin for the inaugural championship. These two programs synonymous with championship play. Oklahoma, 4-time defending national champs. Bama won it all in 2012. They have been 4 out of the last 5 years to the Women's College World Series. And that 2012 title, the first by an SEC team. Followed up by Florida a couple of years later. 1-1 to Ella Parker. Down in the count, 1-2. Parker to second. Haviland completes a 1-2-3 inning out of the bullpen for Jocelyn Bruschi. And it's a 1-0 lead for Alabama as we head to the bottom of the sixth in Tuscaloosa.
potentially against Oklahoma and Florida and Missouri and South Carolina, you really have an opportunity to bolster up your resume to make a push to host.
Oh, what a shot up the middle by Callie Hevelin, her second time aboard this afternoon.
And it's like, for Alabama, as Callie Hevelin just crushes this ball right back up the middle of the field. For Alabama, kind of a bubble team as it looks right now when you look at their RPI and what they have left to host a regional, to grab a top 16 seed. For Oklahoma, their RPI sits at about 9 right now. And so they're looking like a bubble team right now to grab a top 8 seed, which would host a super regional, which is definitely what you want to do with being able to have that home field advantage, advancing 75% of the time when you host a regional and when you host a super.
Bunt drop down and a diving play behind the plate by Isabella Emmerling to catch Brooke Elstead. How about that athleticism by the starting catcher?
That is a huge out, known for her pop in the way that she receives, but now she's receiving in a different way. Popped up bunt, reads it, lays out for it, and understands too that Nellie McEnroe-Marinas is not going to be able to get to it, that she is their best chance to get an out. Nellie McEnroe-Marinas avoids running into her to finish that play.
1 on, 1 out for Abby Dukeshire. 1-run lead for Alabama. I want to go back to something you talked about, the importance of hosting a super regional. Going into last year, since 2005, nearly 75% of teams to host a super advanced to the Women's College World Series. Of course, ironically, Alabama was one of the teams on the other side of that, going to Knoxville, upsetting Tennessee to make back-to-back Women's College World Series appearances. But wouldn't it be something to see Alabama on the road for a regional and Oklahoma potentially on the road for a super?
Which Alabama on the road for regional has never happened before, and got some work to do here at the end of the season. It'll come down to selection committee looking through resumes and doing some comparisons.
Double play opportunity here, and it is made slickly by the freshman at short, Gabby Garcia. So Oklahoma